Hey guys, welcome to the, sixth day now of this vlog. There's some stuff happening today. I've had an email confirming that I've been put down for a slot on an artist alley. Yep, the first artist alley will be at the start of April at a convention called GemuCon, a convention that's mainly centered around video games. Now, the race is actually on at this point. Now, I've actually put myself down for a convention. I need to have something ready, I need to have something prepared. I need to be able to go in there with something. I'm also trying to, at the moment, organise for myself to be on the Artist Alley at a few other conventions. MCM Expo at the end of May, I would quite like to get in on their Artist Alley table. There's a small convention at the end of August called Melksham Comic Con, which is a local one. Again, I've put my name forward for their Artist Alley. It'd be great to appear at that convention. Also means that in the very, very near future I'm going to be looking at pricings of banners, of signs, of X stands, of things that, you know, will make people go, oh, hey, there's a table over there, and which I can use to say, yes, come over here and come to this table and buy my wares and stuff like that. Let's quickly as well, while we're here, check in on the 3D solar system, see how that's getting on at the moment, because that's got a few developments. That's looking pretty cool now, and I'm starting to get the hang of the basics in Autodesk Maya. So, to the screen.
Okay, so here we have the solar system, and it's looking a little better than it did before now. So the first thing worth noting is that this is now animated. So if I just go on the timer here, you can see everything sort of spins around the sun, just like that. Earth only spins once, it does sort of its 1 year, and that's it. What you probably can't tell from the view I've got it on is that, in fact, everything is revolving, even on its own axis. So if I select it, just so that you can see their wireframes, you might be able to get a better idea of it. So, select them like that. Don't know if you can see very well there, but it's got its own motion going on as well. There's also a couple of neat little things that I've just put in as little details. So the sun now actually glows, and this was done through just screwing around with the attributes of the material I've assigned to it. So bam, it actually now sort of glows and lights up, looks like it's actually a giant ball of fire, which is always a good start, you know, when you're trying to do the sun of all things. So if we just come out of that render, I mean, that will inform how naturally I do light bulbs, things like that in the future. We've also gone into very basic textures. So if I go onto the Earth itself now has a really, really basic, really entry-level texture map on it, which I don't think I actually mapped properly because the poles are kind of screwed up, but I'll get the hang of UV unwraps, I'm sure. So very, very basic textures on it. Again, if I go through the animation screens, you should be able to see that it does actually, as it revolves around the sun, it's also revolving on its own axis. And the moon actually revolves around it as well. So if we just move, say, over here so you can get a clearer look. Boom. Moon is going around the Earth as the Earth is going around the sun. That's pretty cool, you gotta admit. So the other thing I played with textures as well was just on Saturn itself. So if you look at Saturn, it's now got a ring which is actually textured, and by leaving transparencies in the texture you can see straight through it. So naturally now I can see how certain bits of hair is done in other video games, like how they do it so that there's strands. It's obviously not individual strips, it's all just on a texture with transparencies. The other cool thing about that is that the ring actually moves a fair bit when everything goes around the sun as well. So if you look at it, it's actually tilting forward there. So it's rotating and tilting, so just playing around with more animation controls. Now, while everything's like that, you can see there's now this big blue thing in the background, which actually shows us we're in space. Basically, this is me screwing around with a skybox for the first time, where you essentially just put a giant spear around the entire scene, and that spear then acts as the sky, or in this case, space. So, yeah, and then when you're in the spear, whichever way you look, you've got a space background. So that's all pretty cool. I think for now this is as far as I'm going to take it, so there's no bump mapping on anything right now. Only a couple of things are actually textured, but this is something I can always come back to, and something I can always look to improve upon. But for the basics, I think this is pretty cool. This is definitely a start, and yeah, they just all sort of spin around, and rule of animation, everything stops back where it started. At any rate, let's talk some more about sort of conventions and what I'm planning to look to do there.
So naturally, I'm very aware that the first convention I'm going to, GemuCon, is uncharted territory for me. It's a video game convention, so really it would make sense to have video game-based stuff for sale. So I think the art I should take would be art of things like Mario, Sonic, Master Chief, Samus Aran. I actually have one of my first requests, which is from Randy, who's also known as Suzuri online. She's the wife of Eric, who most of you know as A. Salieri. She wants me to draw the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy, so the next video will probably be me cracking on with that, and I can also include it in the GemuCon pieces because, hey, it's going to be video game based. You can't get more video gamey than Final Fantasy of all things, so that will definitely be in there. What I then have to focus on is that, naturally, MCM Expo in May, if I can get a spot on their Artist Alley table, is a huge convention and a lot of people go. It's a great opportunity to get a lot of people interested in my work. The question of what to take is a bit, because Expo, they advertise themselves as a Comic-Con. They're not a Comic-Con. They don't have enough comic stuff for that. They are anime, manga, video games. They always have been, they always will be. That means my focus needs to be the video game stuff from GemuCon, mix in with some anime manga style stuff from, naturally, the anime manga side of MCM Expo and that part of its identity and personality. There's going to be a lot more competition there, and what I'm hoping is to have some form of comic available by then. You know, just a one-off 24-page comic, which I would need to start work on pretty damn soon if I'm going to have it ready in time, because we're already November. Before I know it, it'll be Christmas, and then we'll be into the new year, and time, especially as you start to get older, and I hate that my parents were right about this, time just starts slipping away and slipping away before you realise it. So the plan right now, video gamey stuff for GemuCon, look at the prices of X stands, banners, posters, things like that, to make the stall I will have sort of pop and say, hey, I'm here, come over, have a look. And also work on my people skills a bit. I think I need to come across as a bit more of a friendly guy. Usually in public I can come across a bit bitter, jaded and cynical, so I need to, you know, take that, shove it to one side. And yeah, hopefully this could really, really work. It'll be my first year doing a convention circuit, so to say I'm nervous is an understatement, but if I don't try, I won't know, right? The worst that can happen is that I spend a hell of a lot of money and make absolutely nothing back, but fingers crossed that won't happen. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow marks 1 week, and as I say, I'll most likely start on that Warrior of Light request from Randy Suzuri, whatever you would prefer to call her.